You're listening to the Simplifiers podcast, episode number 98. Holy cow, you guys. What a year, what a season of greatest hits it's been on the podcast. That's another 52 interviews and 52 more bonus episodes for the books, helping people simplify their work and life. We've tackled how to manage cash flow, how to manage panic attacks, and everything in between this year. And through this work, I have learned a few things about you. You love the episodes where I simplify these 4 cornerstone topics. 1, self-care and simplifying down to avoid burnout. 2, gaining clarity by setting laser-focused goals. 3, time management skills, doing less to accomplish more. And finally, number 4, sales mastery, building lasting relationships with your clients over time. You know, these are the most downloaded shows, the ones where we drum up the most conversations amongst our super insiders. And these are the ones that you guys ask for over and over and over again to simplify. Looking back this year together, I am thrilled at the deep conversations I've been able to have. But more importantly, I love hearing from our listeners and clients, people like you who share their results because of the podcast. Big ahas as you're doing the school run, or even that tiny little spark of an idea that you had while tuning in at the gym. All of it leading to a more simplified life. No more falling into the trap of overwhelm. You're learning the triggers and warning signs like a true simplifier. You know how to laser focus in on your higher yielding tasks and delegate the rest. So, atta girl, I am super proud of you. Here are a few of our very best conversations from our top 5 episodes of season 2. It's like the Cliff Notes version of the Simplifiers podcast to remind you of how far we've come this year and what we've learned together. And if this is the first time that you're tuning in, well, welcome. I am so glad that you're here, and I can promise you more of this awesome goodness coming to you in the year ahead. So enjoy, and I look forward to helping you simplify in the new year and beyond. And hey, don't forget to do the thing. Okay, so my very first clip that I want to share with you is episode 59 with Kate Northrup, and she's simplifying how to reclaim your time and energy. Now, this one certainly falls under the self-care umbrella. Let me just say, some of the things she shared in this conversation, you guys, completely blew my mind. Right out of the gate, she's talking about the fact that men run on a 24-hour cycle and women, hey, we run off of a 28-day cycle. So, hello, why do we as women keep on trying to hustle and grind and push ourselves like men do? But instead, we could tap into the innate feminine wisdom of our bodies to better understand when to floor it and when to go slow. She even took things deeper and gave us suggestions on what type of work you should be focusing on depending on what week you are in your menstrual cycle. I mean, you guys, this is mind-blowing. And when I put it into action in my own business, it changed everything. Definitely worth going back and listening to the full episode on this one. You know, and another big aha from this one is when she talks about the upward cycle of success. That's when you're headed towards your biggest dreams and goals. She breaks it down into 4 phases: emergence, visibility, culmination, and the fertile void. So no matter if you've got a big sales push coming up, or you're launching a new product, a book, or an offer out into the world, it's key to give space and time to each phase to avoid burnout. And the fertile void, so you know, that's just the space immediately after the launch where it's best to sit, rest, and reflect before rushing off to do the next big thing. I mean, just like farmers don't immediately seed their fields after harvest, it's best to let the land rest and recover to yield greater returns in the future. Here she tells us why. Check it out.
The truth is that the moments of our life that are the most meaningful are the ones that we actually show up for. Yeah. And when we're always chasing achievement, we're not actually showing up for where we are. And so it's a practice of noticing what's in front of you, using your five senses. What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you touching? I find for myself, connecting with my breath whenever I'm noticing I'm not in the moment is the best way to drop back in. And the only way, I think Danny Shapiro, who's a writer, said something along the lines of the only way to fully inhabit our lives is to fully inhabit the present moment. And just how can the only way to detach from that addiction to achievement is to be here.
Yeah.
Whatever we're doing.
Yeah. In this moment. Yeah.
That's it. Because it's all we have.
So can I go back to the upward cycle of success? Because I think this is such a fascinating concept. You describe it like a spiral staircase going upwards. And you mentioned earlier, there's the three phases, or actually four: emergence, visibility, culmination, and then that fertile void. How do you sit with the fertile void, though? It's, because you have been, well, let me just say, I feel when I've just done this amazing big thing, and then you sit there and you go, okay, well, what's next? People are going to be looking to me to do what's next. I mean, you mentioned in your book that you kind of had that season as well after you wrote your first book, and then coming up with, well, what is my next thing? Can you talk to us a little bit about the vulnerability behind that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, our culture loves to categorize. Our culture, we love to label. We really like to be able to define what things are and to have, identify them. And the fertile void is really that place of void, which means it looks like there's nothing happening, even though there's a lot happening under the surface. It's like the winter time. And for me, I went into a fertile void in between the publishing of my last book, Money, A Love Story, and then when I got the idea for this book. And it was a good 3 years of really not knowing what I was doing. And from the outside, I will be perfectly honest, I'm sure it seemed like I knew what I was doing. We were running a high 6-figure business. We were launching things. I mean, things were working. So it doesn't, by the way, fertile void does not mean you're like watching reality TV all day on the couch. It could. Yeah. It might. For me, that wasn't my reality. I run my own business with my husband. We don't have an alternate source of income. Right. So it wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to take a complete break. But there will be times, maybe like for a maternity leave, for example. So that was a by accident fertile void. But then for my recent, I have a daughter who's almost 1. And I knew her birth was coming, obviously. And so I planned a 5-month fertile void so I could take time off. And so here's what I'm recommending with Do Less. I'm recommending that we build in the time for the fertile void as opposed to having the fertile void take us by surprise. Now, by the way, we can't control life. So sometimes it's going to take us by surprise. But like your fertile void could be, when you get back from a speaking engagement, just having a day where you don't have any appointments. Like, I'm not saying you have to take years off. This is not an extreme practice. You can do this in small ways, or it could be, for example, my husband and I just went away, but the two of us for the first time since our second daughter was born. And rather than rush right home, our flight got in at midnight and we had some hotel points. So we booked a night at a hotel so we wouldn't have to get in at midnight and then wake up at 4 with the baby. And so that was like a little fertile void time where we just had a pause and we could reintegrate into life instead of like being shot like a cannon into life. Well, so that's all I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I think a lot of our listeners are small business owners, and it's not like you can just be like, well, maternity leave, no one's paying for it besides me. So having that strategic mind to think this is what's headed, coming down the pipeline. How do I build in that time off to breathe, to nourish myself, to reconnect? And be strategic, like you say, rather than reactive, being proactive. Okay, so mind-blowing, right? Kate is on to something big, you guys. And her book is called Do Less. It's a must-read to dive deeper into this practice. Okay, so one of my absolute highlights this year was getting to interview Danielle Laporte while she was in London over the summer. We recorded this one in person at my friend's magical flat in West Hampstead with warm sunshine streaming in through the big floor-to-ceiling windows. We had green tea a-flowing, smiles abound, and nothing but beaming, radiant love back and forth to each other as we talked about core desired feelings. This was episode 84, and Danielle simplifies how to live your life with intention. We went deep as she talked about the inherent flaws in goal setting and why most of us tend to fizzle out over time or never quite feel satisfied when we get there. However, everything starts to click into place when you realize how to attune to your heart's desires and then tap into how you really want to feel in your everyday life. Once that's defined, then you decide, well, what am I going to do in order to feel the way I want to feel? That's living life with intention. That's tapping into your higher self to set better goals and gain clarity on where you want to head next. Intrigued? Well, listen on.
And one thing I'm clear on is that really everybody's core desired feelings, whether it's like courage, authenticity, connection, communion, rock and roll, water, ease, whatever, sexy, they're all qualities of the heart. It's all about getting back to your heart.
So here's what I would love for you to simplify for us.
Yeah.
Is truly how to start to live our life with intention, both in our work and these businesses and brands that we're building and creating, but also in our life, in our everyday, and the small moments as well.
Well, I love that this is about simplifying because I think that the true wisdom is always really simple.
Yeah.
For me, if you want to live with intention, you get clear on how it is that you want to feel.
Yeah.
Do the desire map, don't do the desire map. But one, just even play with the belief, the idea that your feelings are really what are guiding you. And that if you have clarity around how you want to feel, then you can make choices aligned with that. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really,
it's
simple. It's really that simple.
But we make it so complicated because we're such funny human beings. We overthink. I have a badge on my purse that says the Overthinkers Anonymous Club. I mean, we do make it so much more complicated than that.
Well, there's lots to get out of the way between where you are and getting to what you desire and who you think you are and who you really are.
Yeah.
And, this is where I'm really with Rumi. And, with respect to love, Rumi is saying it's not about seeking love outside of yourself or really from any source. Now I'm obliterating his poetry, but it's about removing the obstacles to love. And that's why it's complicated. So let's bring it back to business. So when people set business goals for themselves, where do you think they go wrong? Oh, business goals are one of my least favorite things. I have a really contentious relationship with goal setting. Yeah. Where they go wrong is that the goals are usually externally driven. So it's about the stuff you want. It's what you want to do and have an experience. Yep. And we're often hearing somebody else's voice in our head. It's a voice of authority, another expert, someone we're competing with, someone we're jealous of, someone we want to be. It's legacy driven. It's often your mother. And you know her. Or, my experience as a new ager is, I thought I'd gotten over all of those things. I'd been in enough therapy that I'd dissolved all those voices, but I still had this self-critical, omnipotent deity that I was trying to be good for. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm over that finally. So those goals are disconnected from our core desired feelings, from qualities of the heart. And there's something that's become clear to me, I'd say in the last couple of years too, about where we go wrong. So first is there's the disconnection. Let me elaborate on that a little more. Everything you're doing, everything you want to bring into your life, the job you want, the promotion, the stuff you bring into the living room, the shopping, what you eat, the people you hang with, is all because you want to feel a certain way. Yeah. That's it. It's in your blood, it's in your psyche, it's in your consciousness. So why don't you get clear on how it is that you want to feel? And what we hope is that we're going to feel a certain way when we achieve that goal. You can talk to anybody. I'm sure, you've done hundreds of these podcasts. How many of us have, we worked, we toiled, we sweat. We did the metrics, we did the achievables, we had the
Right.
bucket list, we got there and we're like, meh. And not just meh, but like you feel that emptiness and then all this self-criticism rushes in.
Right.
I went after the wrong thing. What's wrong? It's just another.
And then you chase out something else, right?
It's a vicious circle. Just becomes another what's wrong with me? What have I done wrong conversation. So that's misstep, let's say, number one. Illusion number one. Illusion number two, and this is where, I feel really preachy and righteous about it, is I think we're going after goals that aren't inclusive. And I believe that for the sake of being alive and for the sake of love and for moving humanity forward, we should be including other people's joy in the creation of our own joy. That's purpose.
Okay.
And it's a guaranteed, sure way to fulfillment. Does not mean it's going to be easy. It won't be without challenge and dark nights and all of that. But it's getting a little short in the day in terms of humanity to be just going after things that are just for you and your satisfaction. You can want the same things. Want whatever you want. Want to have the kids, the beloved, the beautiful home, abundance in your life. Want to have enough. Just include other people in that vision. That, my prayer now is when I'm praying to manifest stuff, to have the clarity to create what I desire. My prayer is always, that I serve with joy, that joy be my service. And gratitude is a constant for me. It's actually a core part of the whole desire mapping process.
Yeah.
And when I give thanks for my blessings, it's may all be so blessed.
Yeah.
And it keeps me awake. Yeah.
It sounds like it also is a deepening of the practice. And I imagine has been the evolution as well of, the desire map being out for the last 5 years or so, of when you start to include others. I also wonder, part of it for me is when I say something out loud to somebody else, it also expands, like you're a photographer and you've just expanded the lens to zoom out a little bit more.
Yes.
Less focused in on you and your tiny universe, but more into benefiting a greater footprint, right?
And this is such an important conversation to have in the context of business.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point, if your business is not including making a social contribution and healing the planet, it's not that you're neutral and you're doing no harm. You're actually part of the problem if you don't have a healing, contributive objective in your business. It's just, we really got to wake up. And not to just come from the, Zen master, wake up, but also it's just so much more deeply fulfilling.
Yeah.
And not always, but it is often more profitable.
Well, I can think of quite a few examples of clients of ours or even colleagues that, integrate a charitable aspect to their business and openly talk about it. A friend of mine who runs Ethical Hour, which is ethical conscious marketing online, a portion of her proceeds goes back to fund Kiva loans, small micro loans in Africa and all places. It's like, right, I helped build 13 schools. I mean, like, that's incredible. And you think, oh, well, you're going to need loads and loads of cash to do that. No, she's a small business owner. She does her tiny portion to that. And, I think that goes a long way. So I encourage anyone that's listening right now, just take a moment, press pause right now on your podcast player and think about what ways you can contribute, even if it's teeny tiny in your mind's eye and you think it's insignificant. Just pause and think, like, what are 5 charities that you could be part of? Whether it's volunteering to be on their board or just if it all is writing a check, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And come back and maybe something is in here and follow that thread a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I literally could listen to Danielle speak all day long. In fact, you can check out her new podcast called With Love, Danielle, wherever you're listening to this podcast. Find the links in our show notes at thesimplifierspodcast.com. Okay, so moving on. My next clip is from a whip-smart girl named Amber McHugh, and she might inspire you to rethink how you consider productivity and time management from this point forward. Instead of pushing like the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, always feeling like you're totally behind and drowning in to-dos, what if where you are at right now in your work and in your career, you're actually right on time? What if it's all falling into place in perfect timing and you're exactly where you're supposed to be, right here and right now? She believes that this simple, small shift in your mindset could actually break things wide open, and in a good way. This is episode 77 with Amber McHugh as she simplifies how to stop feeling behind all the time. She believes that there are 4 simple steps to ask and receive from the universe that's going to help you shift things away from the hustle and grind mentality and move towards a brighter life ahead. Here are the 4 steps. 1, manifest a vision of where you want to head. 2, hold the vision. 3, align with your vision. And then 4, create a plan and take daily action. So if you're feeling any shame or embarrassment that you just haven't run fast enough or done enough at this age, air quotes, my dear friend, this one is for you. Take the foot off the gas pedal, grab a cup of tea, and let her words sink in. It might just be the thing that sparks a new idea and helps you shift how you structure your workday. Check it out.
And we've all got these, right? There's the whole hustle harder, push, work hard, go, do. And I call it our be more, do more epidemic, as if this doing will solve our problems. But the definition of hustle is to be in a state of great activity, not a state of great productivity. So you're not getting it done. You are just moving, right? But if you pause and reflect and look around, you have probably reached your destination over and over and over again. And yeah, we're going to have a new destination and we're going to have a new place that we're going and we're going to get there right on time, just like we always have. But what I want to propose is that you don't have to run and you don't have to hustle. And you don't have to push yourself harder, but you're going to get exactly where you're supposed to go at a pace of flow and a state of productivity, right? That feels right. And this is what you hear people talk about this all the time, right? But I want to break down, like, what does it really mean? And it's stepping into that space of productivity and completely shifting how we show up every single day. And really, it also comes back to that belief in ourselves that we've got this. You've got this.
That's the truth. And, I think that in this day and age, we glorify busy. We glorify, look at how productive I am. I've done all these things. Whoa. Aren't I busy? Aren't I a proper business owner because I'm so busy, right? So what's the first step in ditching the overwhelm that comes from the glorification of busy? Like, how do we stop this negative pattern? What do you think?
Yeah, it starts with our thoughts, right? We shift how we're thinking. Put down busy as a badge of honor right now. I wore that badge of honor for a long time. Total recovering workaholic. Corporate America fed my addiction to work. It fed my addiction to feedback, positive feedback, and external affirmation. But this is an inside job. This change, this movement you're creating, this business you're building, the family you are loving and serving and supporting through the work you're doing, right? The love that you're giving to your clients, that's not coming from outside. This is an inside job. So we've got to start internal and change our thoughts. So put down busy as a badge of honor. Like, commit to that, number 1. Then start figuring out how you want to show up differently. And very practically speaking, I still work a to-do list, right? I still build a plan. You cannot let go of these things because you've got to show up. And I think that this was years ago. It feels like high school, but it wasn't quite that long ago that The Secret came out. And when The Secret came out, I remember so many people in my world being like, oh, well, you just have to think it and it's going to happen. Not quite, right? We've still got to show up. You've got to meet your dreams and your goals halfway. And I was on safari in Africa. and in Kenya, actually, Masai Mara.
Yeah.
And the tour guide said, you know where you are and you know where you're going. Everything in between, right? We're going to have detours. We're going to see a cheetah. We're going to have a pride of lions in front of us. But we've got a vision, even if it's murky, even if we're a little lost and we've got some detours coming up, we're going to get there. You hold that vision and you show up. You still create plans and you follow the map that's going to get you to your destination, right? So you still show up, but what you shift is your attachment to that plan.
Right.
We surrender, and that it feels different. It sounds different when we surrender, and our results and how we get to our destination looks a lot different when we surrender.
And I can imagine there are a couple of listeners right now, because this is bubbling up in me, Amber, is that they are the best girls at following the GPS and going exactly the route that it says, right? No, husband, we do not deviate from this. This is the plan, right? And we type A, card-carrying control freaks, struggle to really, truly detach from every single step of the plan. Why is it not going this way? And so we hold with this iron fist, it has to be this way. And it's really hard to surrender when you're holding with a ironclad fist, right?
It is. And it's going to take practice, right? I started living right on time with my clients. I was gifting this right on time methodology and way of living to my clients 4 or 5 years ago. And it dawned on me 3 years ago that, wait a second, I'm not gifting this to myself. I was still holding tight. I was crazy attached. And that feeling of attachment feels a little bit like when you've got your arms crossed and you're looking at someone saying, that's not the right way.
Yep.
No, don't do that. Don't go that way, honey.
Yeah.
That's not what the GPS says, right? So we're very closed off. And what happens is that we can't see what's beyond. So I want to invite everyone who's so tightly holding on to reimagine what's possible.
Here's the one thing that I think I heard you say. Start small. So if you are looking to build that discipline muscle of surrender, start small. So maybe that means like, hey, I want to get 30 minutes of moving my body into my life today because I know when I move my body, I feel nourished and better. So maybe it is like, right, I'm just putting my shoes on and I'm going to go take a walk around the neighborhood, regardless of what the weather is or what's going on my schedule. Just doing something small like that surrenders to the possibility of what could come, right?
Yes. And yes, but however, all the things, if you don't make it today, if you don't get your shoes on today, that's okay. Yeah. Because you're planting the seed in your thoughts for change, right? That I am going to put on my shoes. Mm-hmm. Right on time, eventually.
When we get back to that simple truth of everything is perfect right now, then I think this comes back to what you're saying of being right on time. Because I think we really, as humans, again, and I dare say as women, we want to know, are we okay? Are we doing enough? Is this okay? And, just giving yourself that grace, I think, is a very powerful gift.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And the way that you're wording it now, it all comes back to what you give yourself.
Yes.
It doesn't come from someone else saying, good job, you're on the right track. Those things are so important to hear sometimes, right? I talk to a coach, a mentor, a colleague. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Like, I just need get some feedback. Yes, keep doing those things, but that's not the only thing, right? You've got to turn inward. And very practically, when I started this practice so long ago, when I would get in that comparison space or I get spun out because she's doing what I wanted to do, like, why not me now?
Yes.
The answer is, yeah, you now go. Like, I was the only one that was holding myself back from showing up and putting myself out there. So what I would immediately start to do in those situations is, why not me now? I want to serve people, go serve. be strategic about those action steps.
Yeah, and I think the word that I've been gravitating to, because I am certainly a doer, girl. Like, you give me a task list, I will plow through it. The first 14 years of my business was all producing large-scale events. So that's all long lists of to-dos, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm much.
That girl. But I think the word that's really been very powerful for me in the last few years is grace. And grace starts from within. You can't earn somebody's grace. You can't achieve grace. Grace is something you give yourself. And in those moments where you're like, I don't feel like putting those shoes on. I don't feel like going out and moving my body. I just kind of feel like rolling around in the duvet and shutting off the world for a few hours. Then what you simply do as grace, a loving kindness moment to yourself in that moment, is you put your shoes by your bed, or you put your shoes and your workout clothes out the night before. So you're sort of giving a gift to future Mary and going, here you go, girl. It's going to be easy tomorrow because you've got one step already out the door. And that's the grace that I think is the power. Sometimes we equate grace and feminine. It's like, oh, it's very soft and gentle. It's like, no, there is power in that girl. And that's how you get there.
I love that you brought the word in power. So much power in all of this. And just imagine, right? That takes me to an emotional place. Yeah. You warned me that you might go Katie Couric on me, but you did not warn me you might go Barbara Walters on me and make me cry. But that power, right? If you can shift your being in this way, the power that you have right now to create opportunity for your clients, for your colleagues, for the movement, right? For your children is incredible. So what we're talking about now is changing how a whole generation, how a whole society could potentially move forward if it starts with us. It starts with you right now. It starts with us. It starts with, right, gifting that grace to yourself. And there's so much power in it, all right on time. No pressure to get this right immediately.
Agreed. You know, Amber has an infectious, positive spirit, and I really loved connecting with her on that one. Make sure to click on the show notes at thesimplifierspodcast.com to tune into the full episode for more, especially if you need a boost. Okay, so the last cornerstone is all about sales mastery. And this one must have struck a chord with you guys because it was one of our most downloaded episodes of 2019. My friend, sales coach, and strategist Maria Bayer simplifies how to squash self-sabotage when selling. And this is episode number 63. Look, if you own your own business, you need to sell your products and services to your clients and customers. I mean, that's a fact, right? I mean, without sales, there is no business. So in this episode, we had an honest conversation about what gets in the way when we ask for the sale, or want to raise our prices, or want to go after that extra big, oh my goodness, mega contract, but instead are feeling a bit of the willies and sweaty palms. She even shares what to do when you're struggling to pay the bills and keep the lights on. But more importantly, how to get back to thriving when selling, because the world needs what you are offering. We need you to keep at it, keep trying, keep telling us about your new products and services, keep nurturing your customer relationships, and it's only then when you truly master the art of sales, because you then turn into a problem solver and a superhero. Check it out.
Many years ago when I first started selling, I realized some of the signs that I saw were that my results were very inconsistent. And so like one month I do really well and the next month I wouldn't do so well. And I knew just in my bones, I'm like, something seems off, like I feel resistance. So if you're feeling resistance or your results are not consistent, those are two classic signs that something's going on there.
Yep.
And it's self-sabotage. And what I realized was I was on my way to work and I had this download from the universe. And because I was saying, why is it that my results are so inconsistent? And literally like a lightning bolt, it hit me. And I thought, oh, my mindset is that sales is slimy. My mindset is that if I'm good at sales, people are going to think that I have no integrity or that I'm just trying to shove something down their throats and that I'm not a good person. And your brain will do anything it can to maintain homeostasis. So if I believe that I'm a good person, yet I want to be good at sales, it's going to self-sabotage because it has to hold on to the belief that I am a good person. So I realized I was sabotaging myself, whether it was conscious or unconscious. So that's the first thing, is to recognize what it is that you're doing, and that you may have a belief under there, under the hood, that's not serving you.
Right.
And even if it's not, I don't necessarily like to classify it as bad or good, but it could be just that it's not serving you and it's not serving your goal of whatever that is.
Right.
And my goal was to be a successful salesperson, to make, a certain amount of money, to be self-sufficient, to be able to make it on my own and not have to rely on anyone. So to me, that was the realization. And so then what I started to do was I said, okay, well, if this is my belief, I need to change that belief, right? I need to shift that belief somehow. So I started looking for ways to shift that belief. And so I started talking to some of my coworkers and listening to their beliefs on things. And I realized, whoa, not everybody believes the same thing I believe. Like, they don't think that this is a problem. So why should I believe that too? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started to look for social proof. That was another way. And I looked for examples of people that were good at sales, but not slimy, not your stereotypical salesperson. So those are just some of the things that I started doing. And literally, as I started to shift that, that's when everything changed for me. And that's when my results skyrocketed. That's when I tripled my income. Literally that year, I went from 5 figures to 6 figures, and then I stayed in the 6 figures every year that I was in sales.
Right.
And it literally, I believe, was because of that realization that here I have this underlying belief. I need to shift that there's more than one way to be a good salesperson. And thank goodness, at the time I had a manager who was so lovely, and he sat down with me and he said, Maria, you do not have to be that stereotypical person. There's lots of ways to be successful at sales. You don't have to be like those bad examples that you're looking at. They may be successful. They may make a lot of money, but you can sleep at night. You can be consistent with your beliefs and your integrity and still be really good at sales.
Totally.
And that's what I adopted. And that made all the difference, because I said, if I can't do that, I'm not going to sell.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and do something else.
Well, and I think, again, it comes back to you and what feels good for you and what your core values are as a business owner and as your brand as well. So, yeah, I just want to unpack a lot of what you just said there, because I think that this is key. Once you understand the underlying thought process and beliefs in sales, and then starting to really reframe how you look at what is a salesperson. And I think that's the fascinating part about our brains, is that it's always looking for data points that prove what you believe,
yes,
right? So it's
exactly.
just constantly going, okay, well, if sales is slimy, look, there's another data point that proves it. Oh, look, there's another one that proves it. Oh, look, there's another one. So yeah, I love what you said about just really trying to find other role models or other business owners out there that you felt were selling with authenticity, so that you can go, oh, actually, there's a data point that shows it's possible. Oh,
that's
okay,
right.
That's where it is. And that starts to help you prove again to your brain, oh yes, this is possible. I totally get it. So when it comes to setting financial goals, now let's say somebody's gone through that hurdle of getting their brain in the right place, but now we're talking about, oh gosh, I have to set goals financially. Like, what would you give as a good advice there to keep your self-sabotage at bay when you're setting your goals?
That's a really, really good question, because the $1 million question is always like, how high should I set the goals, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like you should make them realistic, but a little scary.
Yeah.
Right? So don't make them so unrealistic that your brain just says, there's no way, right? I can't see a way that could be possible. And then the other thing that I like to do with some of my clients, it really depends on their mindset. So like I like to really understand where they're at. And what I'll tell them is I'll give them a challenge. And I did this just the last couple of weeks with my students, and a couple of them in particular that I knew needed to boost their rates, right? They were too low, and I needed them to get that win. And I wanted them to get that that proof that they can do this, and that there's a lot of room to grow, because once you get to the other side of that, you're like, oh, I'm never going back, to what I was charging before. So I gave them a challenge to increase their rates. I think it was like $300, which was, as a percentage wise, that was a scarier amount for them. And they did it, and they actually booked clients, and they were like shocked, like, oh my God, I can do this. Right. So if you give yourself little increments like that, it makes it a little bit easier. And that way you're getting these little wins. And so then the next step seems a little bit easier. And then the next step seems easier. But I find that when you create a financial goal, it's good to create something that's just a little bit scary, but then break that down into what does that mean like on a monthly basis. Let's chunk this down so it's something that's doable and doesn't seem as scary, right?
Yeah, you're dead on to it, Maria. Like, you have to break it down into tiny bite-sized pieces, but also set stretch goals that do stretch you a bit out of your comfort zone. I think it's so interesting about this, and what I'm learning, even in the evolution of our podcast, however many episodes we've released so far, everything comes back to this little noggin of a brain up here. It does not matter what topic it is, whether it's healthy eating or, cash flow or sales. It all comes back to this brain of ours, and how powerful it is that once we really, nourish our brains to believe in possibility, opportunities are boundless. And I know that sounds a bit woo, but it's so true. Every single time it comes back to this, right?
Absolutely. Anything you do in your life comes back to what's thinking up here, and you're usually your biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I've learned as a business owner and a coach over time is that there's something very powerful when you connect with someone, whether it's a coach or maybe a mastermind partner or anybody, right? When you connect with someone and that someone holds space for you and believes in you, that's super powerful.
Totally.
Like I came from this belief that I have to be like giving strategy after strategy after strategy, like physical, tangible things like that. But I've also kind of matured enough and learned enough with my clients that even having that faith in them and showing them that I believe in them and being strong for them, while they take on these little challenges that I'm giving them, that's very powerful for them, because for them to believe in themselves means more than money, more than you can put a price tag on, right?
Yes.
And if I can give them the courage to take that baby step and maybe that next step and that next step, then maybe they're strong enough to do all kinds of things after that are like ginormous steps. So there's so much power in having that support system around you that will hold space for you and really just support you and believe in you, especially at the times when you're doubting yourself, because there are always those times, right? We always do that to ourselves. So it's really good to have that support structure.
I told you guys, Maria is the jam. I feel so lucky to be able to do this work as a podcaster and ask all the questions that might be sitting on your heart as well. And as you know, our Tuesday episodes set the tone for the week ahead at the Simplifiers. So whatever topic we simplify in our interview episodes, we actually carry it through onto our blog, into the Super Insiders online community, and in my Friday bonus episodes. Now, these are my solo round super thought of the days, where I actually go deeper into the topic at hand. And our most popular bonus episode of season 2 is all about how to deal with burnout. That's bonus episode 48. So if you're feeling a little bit run down, frazzled, and cooked extra crispy around the edges, I really hope that this episode brings you relief. However, can I just let you in on a little secret? The more that I record these bonus episodes, the more I realize that they are little super pep talks for myself as well. Whenever I need a little burst of positive energy, I actually will go back and listen to these episodes, searching for just the right topic I need in that moment. Just pop it into my earbuds and go. So, okay, is it weird that I like to listen to my own voice? No. This is how I justify it. It's kind of like an audio diary of me at my best. We all need those reminders every now and again of our higher self, right? So I encourage you to do the same. Make sure to go back into the vaults and scroll through the bonus episodes. There might actually be one that could really help you the next time you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Pretend it's just you and me talking through it all together like friends. And I want you to know this one is especially for you. And today, I want to talk about how to deal with burnout. It happens to the best of us. It's inevitable. And hey, you might be feeling it creeping on right now. Here's what I do when things get a bit much that really helps me simplify and get back to center. It all comes down to this: see it, jump off it, listen to it, and vow to make a change. Here's how to do it. Step 1, see it. When I'm on the verge of a total and utter burnout moment, there are a few warning signs that pop up all along the way. Okay, so this is weird, but sometimes it starts like a nervous tick in my eye, or a rapid heartbeat, a feeling like I have got 80 billion things to do and no time to do it all. Holy cannoli. And I'm willing to bet you've got a few characteristic warning signs of your own, whether that's systematically forgetting to eat lunch, or finding yourself looking for ways to numb the stress, or maybe you get really snappy with others, or worse, you get really, really quiet. Whatever it is for you, I want you to take notice. Don't ignore the warning signs, because what may start off as a whisper will most certainly turn into a shout soon enough. Step 2, jump off it. Okay, so your proverbial check engine light is totally flashing right now, and the hot mess express train is running rampant in your life. I feel you, girl. All you've got to do right now is this: jump off it. No, really. I mean, it's just that simple. You have to make a decision right here and right now to honor your mind, body, and soul's warning signs by acknowledging the path that you're on is about to crash and burn. Jump off the hot mess express train. And you do it by simply saying this to yourself: okay, self, I hear you. I feel you. So what would nourish me right now? I want you to take a deep breath, pause, and listen. Your inner BFF will have a few ideas on how to pull you out of this. Trust me, she'll be very vocal, especially if you've been running ragged for a while now. Which leads me to step 3. That's your intuition talking there. Please note, not all suggestions will be healthy nor should be taken. Hello, drive-thru lady who knows me better than my spouse. But that's okay. You're learning to listen to your deepest needs and discern what would be the best way to nourish yourself and nurture yourself out of burnout, stress, and a potential panic attack. When you listen to your inner BFF and then take action on the things that will help you, you start to become more attuned mind, body, and spirit. And over time, that makes you very powerful indeed. Step 4. Vow to make a change. Whether it's realizing you need to hire a virtual assistant and delegate stuff off your plate, or that you need to take a personal day off to get your life back in order, or simply calling a friend for some much needed social time because you have been knee-deep in work for way too long. I want you to listen, but also vow to make a change in your life immediately. Like today, not next week, not after busy season is all done, not someday, somehow, but like now. Book that massage, call that friend, reach out for help, vow to do less so that you can truly accomplish more. When you make the vow to change and then follow through, you're giving your inner BFF another data point that you are a trustworthy person who will take good care of her in the long run. So don't delay. Do the thing. And just one final whisper, just from me to you, dear friend, coming closer. You know, sometimes when I'm feeling on the verge of burnout, depression starts to kick in and totally brainwashes me into thinking the situation is hopeless. No matter what you do next, it's never going to get better, which is a lie. We all know it. We are so aware of it. Only when we are clear-minded, that is. But when we're in the deep pools of darkness, fear, and everything feels totally, utterly overwhelming, it is so much harder to remember. So I am here to gently and lovingly remind you, you have a choice. You will break free out of this loop. You do have what it takes to nourish yourself. So whatever you're dealing with right now, no matter how hard, how deep, how dark, you are loved. You are fully supported, and you will get through this. Start with slowing down your breath. Next, take a big drink of water. Set a 7-minute timer, pull out the journal, and get back in touch with your inner BFF and listen to what she truly needs right now. Then bit by bit, take action. You're worth it. You can do this. I believe in you. It's time to simplify. Thank you for tuning in to season 2 of the Simplifiers podcast. Deeper and deeper, we go on this journey. And, in this past year, we have tripled our downloads thanks to you. And we have listeners in 101 countries worldwide. So thank you so much for sharing this podcast with your best girlfriend, or even just that one person that always looks a bit frazzled when picking their kid up from daycare. Trust me, she will thank you later. My quest is to take topics in business and in life and simplify them for you. So the next time you're at a networking event or a dinner party and someone's talking about sales strategies or wealth management or how to declutter without having to give everything away, wear only black turtlenecks, and live out of a suitcase. Aha! You now can chime in confidently with your 2 cents, and you can tell them, well, it's because I heard it on the Simplifiers podcast. Like a total hero. And I just want you to know we are already planning an incredible 3rd season for you right now based on the feedback that you share with us, booking bigger and bigger experts, authors, and superstars. So if there's a topic that you'd like me to simplify, or if you want to nominate someone that you know to be a special guest on the Simplifiers podcast in the new year, well, make sure to go over to our website and let us know, thesimplifierspodcast.com. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and click the button that says nominate yourself or your favorite hero. Fill out the form and boom, that was so simple. Our team reviews each and every one of the nominations we receive, so thank you so much for taking the time to send it in. Okay, guys, it's a wrap. Season 2 is officially complete, and I'm so glad that you're on this journey with me. If you've listened this far, I know that you are a diehard fan of the Simplifiers. So I'm going to share a really big secret with you right now that's going to hold me accountable in 2020. Drum roll, please. Okay, are you ready? In 2020, I plan on writing my very first book for the Simplifiers. And I am beyond excited and a teensy bit scared to say it out loud. This book has been bubbling up inside me for a while now, and it's time to get it down on paper and get it out into the world. All I can tell you is this: I will be simplifying big topics, reflecting on how to navigate big change, and helping you and I step up and into our big, beautiful, and simple new lives. So more details to come, but please do make sure to corner me the next time you hear me speak on stage for more insider information. This book will be the first of many to come, and I cannot wait. So remember, you can do it. I believe in you. Thank you so much for continuing to share the Simplifiers podcast with your dearest girlfriends. And as always, friends, keep things simple.